Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura and today I want to make a rope rug. Now they're very easy to make. Matter of fact, they're very fun when we just get sewing. But there's some tips and tricks along the way that I'd like to share with you. So here's the rope that I picked up, and I did just get it at my local dollar store. It is considered a poly rope. So it's not cotton and it's not nylon. You can really feel that difference. I think this is going to make a great rug, and I think it's going to wash really well. So I do have 50 feet, and it is a little bit thicker, and this is what I'm looking for. So when we look at the rope, we are going to notice it is thin and thick. The thick part is the part that I want to stitch. So that is one thing I do want to keep in mind. Now, when any ropes have been wrapped like this for some time, they do hold a memory. And I want to help that memory go away. So I am going to unroll all of this and I'm going to just put it all in a bag. But as I unroll it, I'm going to be smoothing it with my hands. And you can see where just that little movement is helping that twist come out. So I'm going to unroll it all. As I'm unrolling it, there are some big kinks, and this is giving me that opportunity to straighten them out first. And this is going to make it easier when I get to the machine. There are some twists that we're going to be able to untwist and pull, and that's going to help take those twists out. This is what I'm looking for. Even if you have to pass it through your hands a couple of times, you do want a nice, soft little curve. Nothing with those tight kinks. Now I'm going to be able to start. The cord coming out of the bag needs to be at your right-hand side. It's just going to be easier as we go around and around at the machine. I do like my stitching to look the same right from this very center point right to the end. So I am going to give this a good tight turn, and I can put some pins in there. Those pins are going to go straight through, and I want to make sure that it is good and tight. Now I'm going to be able to take the back side and do a little bit of hand stitching, and I'm just going to stitch a little bit as I go around. Now this rope does have a little bit of a shine to it, so I want to match the thread. So I am going to be using a polyester thread that does have a shine to it. I'm going to use this as the top thread, and I'm also going to use it in my bobbin. I did double my thread just for that extra strength, and now I've been stitching this a little bit on each side. Now that that stitching has been done, we're going to be able to work on that on the machine, and you can see where this is going to be a lot easier to maneuver and keep nice and flat. And I don't mind giving it a good press so that it starts nice and flat. Now when we are stitching this together, we are going to need to use a zigzag, and our zigzag stitch needs to catch from here to here. So we're going to be able to adjust the width depending on the rope that you have. I will be starting right here in the center, and I'm going to stitch all the way around, even though I did hand stitch this. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that zigzag tighter. The smaller area, I need tighter little stitches, and then I can make them a little longer and a little longer as I go around. And then when I come to here, I'm just going to be able to find a nice adjustment and go with it for the rest. But a tighter zigzag will really just help get around this curve. I'm also going to use an open toe foot, and I am going to be using the gold denim needle by Schmetz. It is a size 16. So for my Bernina, I do want to be stitching at this width at 5.5 and that length at 2. But to start with, I need to go smaller, and that way I can turn those corners. So I'm going to start small, and as I go around every couple of stitches, I'm just going to adjust this. And that's going to help me go around those corners that are nice and tight. And then eventually, I'm going to get to where I need to go. So I'm starting with the cord on the right. I want to make a couple of stitches forward. Do a couple of stitches back. And now I'm going to start. And you can see that those stitches are nice and tiny, so I'm able to turn and pivot. So I've done some small stitching. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And then make it a little bit bigger still. Now I'm going to be able to just straighten this out, trim off the threads, and keep stitching all the way around. So you can see where I started with the smaller stitches, and then as I was going around, I'm getting bigger. As I'm stitching, I'm going to make sure this stays flat. I'm going to use my left hand to turn, and I'm using my right hand to keep this cord flat and in the position I want it. So I really am not moving my right hand much at all, but I am moving that left hand to keep everything going around. And I can feel here if that rope is starting to twist, so then I can stop and straighten it out. This can really go together quite quickly once you get the hang of it. So the rope at 50 feet did give me a 17-inch circle, but I do want to go bigger. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to hand sew my little ends together. And I'm going to sew all the way around with a tiny little stitch, pulling those fibers together. And that way you are not going to see where I've started and where I've ended. By hand stitching these two pieces together, I can now stitch seamlessly, so you will never see that. Those two packages now have given me a 24-inch rug. Now I need to finish this. I do not want the rug to end in this straight line. I want it to come gradual so you really don't see it. So I'm going to have to cut this end. So I take off that hard piece, and now I'm going to just pull this back and remove some of this. And I'm going to remove it on an angle, pull it and smooth it out. Now I'm going to take this and just do a little bit of stitching by hand to hold that down. So I folded some pieces over and just wrapped, tied some little knots, and now I have that thread coming out. And I'm going to leave that thread on so that I can finish it when I get here. Now I can just continue stitching. With that thread end, I'm able to direct this a little bit and pull it tight. From here, I want to make sure that my zigzag will go from here all the way to this edge. So I'm stitching this right in. Make those stitches a little bit smaller. Now we can finish. And I can cut my threads off. So here's a real close-up of that center. And you can see how smooth it is. We've started with those small stitches and then just got bigger as we were going along. And the only way I can find that seam is by feeling it. Here it is. See, it's barely noticeable. And the end is right here. So this is the front, and here's the back. Once again, a really close up, and you can see how nice and flat this is. Now, in order to prevent your rug from going like a bowl, we really do need to prepare that rope. Pull it, stretch it, straighten it out, get those kinks out before you start. Another reason this might end up with a curved shape is because we are pushing or pulling the rope through the machine. It's heavy, so we automatically think we need to help the machine out. Let the machine work on its own. The feed dogs are going to pull this through, and all you need to do is guide it. If that is still not working, try a walking foot, and that way both top and bottom are going in at the same time. Another thing that often happens is skipped stitches. The skipped stitches just means that you need to change your needle. Try a different size of a denim needle or try a top stitch needle. And once you find that right size, you are going to be able to stitch and have a lot of fun without any skipped stitches. Stitching with rope is a lot of fun. Now, I did use that poly rope, but you can get a nylon. You can also get cotton. If you are making something like this for the table that you're going to put a hot pot on, be sure to get a cotton. The nylon and the polyester can melt. So keep that in mind if you're trying to do this for something for the table. But for the floor, this is going to give me years of wear. I do hope some of those tips and tricks are going to help you along the way. And as always, thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I have a newsletter. It's all free under Sew Very Easy. And be sure to make every day a Sewtacular day. Bye for now.